Hey guys, Austin Schneider here, and today we're going to give you 10 steps to purchasing a home. So purchasing a home can be very overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. With many things changing, a lot going on in the market, and many new innovations to the steps of home buying, it's important that you are staying in tune with the right steps of how to purchase a home. So in this video, we're going to give you 10 steps to how you can fulfill your dream of home ownership. The first thing that you want to do is do some self-assessment on your current situation. You want to check your credit score. Credit scores are one of the largest factors when it comes to being able to purchase a house. It's going to be worth your time to check your own credit score, see where you're at, see if there's any accounts, see if there's any hiccups that you can take care of yourself, because it's worth it to look at it now versus when a lender is pulling your credit. The second thing that you can do is just run a rough estimate of seeing what you can afford. There are a ton of mortgage calculators out there. You can visit mortgagereports.com as well to get a rough idea of what you're able to afford. With these calculators that are out there, you'll be able to enter your income, desired house payment, and you'll be able to get a very rough idea of what you'll be able to afford. And with what you'll be able to afford, it might be worth it to scan Zillow or Redfin or homes in your area to see if there's any homes that you can even afford. And if there aren't any homes that you're really able to afford, it might be worth it to hold off for a little bit until you can save a little bit more money, find a less expensive area to live, or find a co-borrower to purchase the home with you. Another thing that you want to do in this self-assessment process is to ensure that you're actually ready to buy a house. This is an important question to ask because you don't want to just buy a house for 1 year, as the return on your investment may not pan out. So if you plan on settling down, living there for 3 to 5 years, then it could make sense for you to purchase a home from an investment standpoint. But if your credit is so-so, or you're not planning on really living in the area for another year or so, or if you have a hard time paying rent, or your job is volatile, then it might be worth it to wait. The second step to purchasing a home is to get pre-qualified. Guys, this is probably one of the most important steps in the home buying journey, especially early on. If you've done the self-assessment and you're feeling confident, you're feeling comfortable with entering the housing market, your next step is to get a pre-approval from a lender. There's really no use in touring houses or looking for a real estate agent or getting your hopes and dreams set on a house until you're actually pre-qualified. So what you'll want to do is find a lender and go through the pre-qualification, pre-approval process. To find a lender, what I always recommend is to ask some friends who they use. Go on Yelp, read some reviews of people in your area that have done a stellar job for your friends and family. Another thing to note is that the company doesn't matter as much as the loan officer themselves. It's important that the loan officer that you're working with has adequate experience and is someone that you can trust to close on your home and get the job done. So once you choose a lender, that's when the pre-qualification process will begin. They're going to look at your down payment, they're going to pull your credit, look at your income and your debts as well. So it's important that you have a lot of stuff already prepared for this, because you will be providing a ton of paperwork. Once the pre-qualification process is complete, which can take only 24 to 48 hours depending on who you're working with, that's when you'll receive your pre-qualification number and what you'll be able to afford with what sort of down payment. If this feels good, if the payments are matching up, if the down payment is doable for you, then you should be ready to move forward with finding a home. If your gut is telling you that the payments are too high, or it might be a stretch for you, then it might be time to take a step back and reevaluate or work with your loan officer to come up with a game plan to get you somewhere that will be comfortable for your situation. So if you're working with a loan officer to get pre-approved, but you're not pre-approved for a mortgage, what they'll typically do is work with you hand in hand and give you action steps of what you can do, what you can improve to be able to get approved for a mortgage, whether that's improving your credit, saving a little bit more for a down payment, or working with a co-borrower. The third step to purchasing a home is finding a great real estate agent. Finding a great real estate agent will be paramount in your home search. While there's search engines like Redfin, Zillow, and thousands of others, working with a skilled real estate agent will really help you not only find a house, but negotiate the best price on your behalf. When looking for a real estate agent, similar to how you found your loan officer, ask friends or family, check review sites, and you'll want to make sure that they are well versed in the area that you're looking for and have adequate experience helping people in similar situations as you. A good thing about working with a buyer's agent is that you get their expertise and you don't have to pay anything. The way they get paid is at the time you close on the home, and their payment comes from a commission from the sellers. So all of the upfront driving around, looking at houses, sending you homes is free. So now that you've been pre-approved, you're working with a great loan officer, you have a great real estate agent as well, this is where the fun begins. This is when it's time to start looking at homes. When looking at homes, especially if it's your first home, it's really easy to get excited and get eager to get your first home that you see under contract. What I like to say is really build your gut, guys. Spend some time seeing 10, 20 houses to really understand the market. While your real estate agent will know the market or should know the market very well, it's also important for you to know the market so you can make a good decision based off of what your gut is telling you. And by getting to know the market, this pretty much means, see what, $200,000 gets you in XYZ city, and then see what it gets you in a different city, and compare and contrast and understand the different areas within your neighborhood or your city or where you're thinking about buying. One thing that might be helpful for you is, as you're starting to look at homes, is just simply writing down your must-haves and nice-to-haves. Must-haves can be stuff like bedroom count, it needs to be a single family house, it needs to have a 2-car garage. Nice-to-haves could be stuff like, updated kitchen, 3-car garage. And by seeing this from a high level, you'll be able to quickly eliminate houses that are not meeting your needs. Another thing to do as you are searching for your houses is to think long-term. When you start touring houses, you're in the homes, think where you're going to be in 5 to 7 years. If in 5 to 7 years it's going to make sense for you and your family. If you're married and you plan on having kids, you might want to get a house with an extra bedroom. And also from an investment standpoint, 5 to 7 years are you planning on still being there? Are you planning on renting it out? If the home's not going to suit you in 5 to 7 years, then that home may not make sense for you. The exception to the 5 to 7 year plan is if you plan to have it as a rental. In this case, it could make sense for you to start with a starter home and plan to move up later on. The reason this is because it's so expensive to sell. It can cost upwards to 10% that you may end up losing money at the end of the day if you're not carrying the home for 5 to 7 years plus. The fifth step to purchasing a home is making an offer. So you finally found a home that meets your needs, it's in your price range, and you see yourself living there for a long time or potentially renting it out. Now, this is the time when it's going to be paramount for you to have a really good real estate agent on your side. The real estate agent will work with you very closely to write the offer, negotiate the contract, and all you'll need to do is review the purchase and sale documents, sign them, and send them over to the other real estate agent, the other party selling agent. The realtor will also work with you to get creative on ways to help you save money or potentially make sure that this is going to be a safe purchase for you. One thing to note, guys, is just because you're submitting an offer does not mean that you will be getting this house. Oftentimes, especially in hot markets, there are multiple offers on the table and multiple buyers competing for the same house, which oftentimes drives the sale price of the home up, the purchase price of the home up. If your offer does not get accepted, as hard as it can be, do not get emotionally tied to a specific house until you actually get the keys. You don't want to be lured by, paying more than what you can afford just to get into a house, just because your emotions are coming into play there. Again, this is when a real estate agent will help you make a good decision based off of your needs if this will be a good investment for you and your unique situation. But if your offer does get accepted, which will be awesome, your first step is to depositing your earnest money into an escrow account. The earnest money amount can be as low as 1% of the purchase price to as high as 5+% of the purchase price. So this is why it's important, if you are thinking about purchasing a home, to have some money reserved to use as earnest money. And the earnest money is applied to your closing costs, so it's not like you're simply writing your earnest money check and you'll never see that money again. It is going towards the purchase of the house. So if you've submitted an offer and it's finally accepted, the 6 steps to buying a home is to submitting your accepted offer to the lender. So I know that the lender pre-approved you before you started shopping, but this doesn't mean that the money is adequately ready to go immediately. This is where the lender will start reviewing the property to ensure that it's a lendable property that they're willing to fund. They'll do this by ordering an appraisal and sending an appraiser out there to ensure that the home meets the lending criteria. The appraiser will go out to the property, review the home, review the market, and figure out what the appraised price of the home is, and ensure that the bank is making a okay decision, a smart decision by funding this home. There's also a chance that the home might have non-lendable features, and if this happens and you are in contract and you're not able to get funding for the home, we hope that you have what's called a financing contingency that will allow you to get out of the deal because you're unable to get financing on that property. But usually your real estate agent or lender will advise you on what types of properties are not lendable for your needs. And if you do go out of contract, or if you need to step back from the home and continue on your search, it may make sense for you to reevaluate with your lender to see if you need any updated information, or if there's any updated information that you can send to your lender to improve your rate, or if they need anything to ensure the pre-approval and lock-in process is smooth for you. So if all goes well with sending your documents to the lender, you order the appraisal, everything looks good, everything is good to go, now it's time to lock in your mortgage. So once you receive your mortgage rate from your lender, it's now time to lock it in, guys. We don't recommend that you try to play the market, try to wait it out, and really emphasize locking in your mortgage sooner than later. If current rates are good for you now and you're comfortable with the monthly payments, the mortgage amount, and the mortgage rate, then you'll want to lock it in as soon as possible. The reason we want you to lock it in sooner than later is if interest rates rise by you waiting and trying to play the market and get a lower rate, that's going to decrease your purchasing power and may make you lose the home or end up spending more per month on that same house. Also, when you're going through this process, be sure to lock in the rate for 30 days plus a little bit of wiggle room. For instance, if you close your house in 35 days, don't lock your rate for just 30 days. Get it locked in for 45 days to ensure that everything goes smooth and that rate is actually yours. So as you're working with your lender and the lender is working on getting you the best rate possible, now it's time to go back to the actual house and clear up any contingencies and start negotiating with the home sellers. One of the most common contingencies out there is what's called an inspection contingency. So typically, once you get into contract, you will have 10 to 15 days to do what's called a home inspection to ensure that the home is in good condition and suitable condition for your needs. This is a great opportunity for you to join the inspector as well and attend the inspection so that you know what's going on with the home and uncover stuff that is not visibly seen from a regular consumer. If there are any defects or anything that needs to be done, this is a great opportunity for your real estate agent to negotiate on your behalf with the selling agent to get you a better deal. A lot of times this gives you a lot more leverage because you guys are already in contract, but if it's a hot market, it may not be worth spending too much time on the negotiation. But if the seller is desperate or the seller is very eager to sell, it may make sense to leverage anything that's on the inspection, if there is anything on the inspection, to your advantage. Again, this is where a good real estate professional will come in handy for you and end up saving you money at the end of the day. So once all the contingencies, like the inspection contingency, is lifted, cleared, everybody's in agreement, now it's time to move on to closing and signing your final paperwork. So when you go to sign your final paperwork, you will go into an escrow agent's office, a title and escrow company's office to do this. You will be signing a lot of documents, so it's going to be worth it for you to, have them send it to you beforehand so you can review and you're not sitting there at the office for an hour or however long it's going to take you to review these documents. You can do it in advance. Another thing to note, as you approach closing time, try not to schedule any vacations or any time away during this time, because it will be paramount for you to be present and available to sign the document. Most lenders and title companies don't really offer the e-signatures, so again, it's paramount that you're physically there to sign off on the closing documents. So your final documents are going to itemize all of your closing costs and what you'll need to bring to the table. So you will want to bring a check or a cashier's check for that amount at the time of signing. So it's important that if you have any funds or any stocks that you need to sell, you are doing that before you actually sign the closing documents. So now that you've signed your final closing documents, the last step is what's called closing day. This can be an exciting time, it can be a stressful time, because a lot of times there will be some last minute requests, especially from your lender, for some documents in order to get the funds and release the funds to the escrow company to close on time. Whether that's a signature or a last minute loan document, that's why it's so important to be readily available at the time of closing, especially on closing day. So once the lender has everything that they need from you, they are ready to release the funds to the escrow company. And once the escrow company clears everything up on their end, they will release their funds to the appropriate parties and release to record you as the new homeowner. Once you are an official homeowner and everything is recorded with the escrow company, then you are free to get the keys and start moving into your new home. All right, guys, if you are in the market to purchase a home, be sure to follow these 10 steps to ensure that you have a nice, smooth process when buying a home. Also, if you click the link down in the description, we have an article that lays out all these steps crystal clear to make sure that your home ownership, your journey to buying a home is good and you have a great experience with it. For more on this topic or for more about buying a home, visit us online at themortgagereports.com. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.